everybody, it's Nate and Steph from Adventure in a Backpack. Today we are going to be having one of our Wednesday chats. We actually had a change of plan in the topic this week. We were going to talk about something that was very van life oriented. But in light of recent events in the United States with the shooting in Las Vegas, we wanted to talk about something a little bit more important to us, a little bit more important to everyone, I think, is safety. And this is something that we talk about a lot with friends and family and things like that. We get a lot of questions about. And so we thought it would be a really good time to talk about this and have an open discussion about safety in van life, in traveling, everything like that. So this video is going to be definitely more on a serious note. And it's going to be not just safety in van life. We're going to talk about that, definitely. But safety in travel in general, because most people who are living in their vans and traveling around, a lot of people are traveling around and visiting new cities and things like that. And so it's important to encompass all of the aspects of travel as well into that. So let's get started. Let's kind of talk about, let's start by kind of addressing what to us safety is not.
Okay, so on a lot of the Facebook groups, this question comes up a lot. Like, how do you, honestly, specifically in the van life community, a lot of people are asking, how do you keep yourself and your possessions in your van safe? And the first, knee-jerk reaction is going to be, you need to be sure to have a gun, you need to be sure to have dogs, you need to be sure to have a high-tech security system on your van, and all that kind of stuff. That's actually in a category that stuff is not safe. It should be your goal in life to not ever have to shoot anybody. Like, if you've had to shoot somebody, you were in an unsafe position. And so I want to talk about why those are not safe. Those are not safe because guns, obviously, you're in a bad situation, you're in an unsafe situation, and by introducing a gun into the scenario, you have introduced a very unsafe aspect of it. Now, I do have to say on that, so I'm going to rant a few times in this one because it is pretty important to me. I am not anti-gun. I do own guns. People ask us if we carry guns with us, we're in the van. Well, we're not going to lay our cards out on the table because it's irrelevant. Maybe we have guns, maybe we don't. I do feel like I need to say that I'm not anti-gun. And I think it's super important to note that if guns are part of the equation, you're already in an unsafe situation to begin with. Mm-hmm. As far as security systems, same thing, exact same thing to a lesser lethal standpoint. Security systems are, yeah, sure, they're good. If you have GPS on your van and it gets stolen and you want to be able to find it again, that's fine. That's different. That's not personal safety. That's more of a possessional safety. Possessional?
I don't think that's a word.
That's a word. Possessional safety. And that's pretty much what that is. Dogs are also in that same category of also not a safety thing. Sure, the dogs may bark and may be a little bit of a deterrent, but when it comes down to it, there have been multiple studies that have put dogs that have not been formally trained, even like our Doberman that we've got, a dog that is an untrained dog in that kind of situation may bark, may bite, but as soon as met with force is going to run. It's shown over and over that that's going to happen. Plus, it's your dog. You don't want to put your dog in this kind of bad scenario and leave it up to your dog to protect you and to protect your belongings.
Yeah.
Is that all what safety is not?
I think so. Yeah. That's all I have written down. So let's talk about what safety actually is to us. Safety is really avoiding the problem before it even starts. Being aware of your situation and being able to identify a problem before it even becomes a problem. Identify a situation before it becomes a problem, and get yourself out of it. Get your possessions, get your van, whatever it may be, out of that situation and not have to deal with it. So talk about being situationally aware. Know your surroundings, and knowing your surroundings can be everything from while you're driving, knowing what other drivers are on the road, knowing your situation, knowing what lanes are clear, so if somebody tries to merge into you, you can swerve over. That's part of defensive driving, is being situationally aware. It's the same thing with yourself and your spouse or your children or whatever it may be, whoever you're traveling with. Knowing the full situation and knowing where everyone is at all times keeps everyone generally safe. Keep your head up, keep your eyes looking around, and know what's going on around you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be already a few steps ahead of any problems that may arise.
Yes, exactly. I don't have anything to add. That was very good. Good job.
Thanks. So the next one on this is still under being situationally aware, is make yourself a hard target.
Okay. Can I talk about that one?
Sure.
Cool. I'll take over that one. So, making yourself a hard target, basically what that boils down to is make yourself a less desirable so there's two ways to think about it. One would be on like a mass, basically in a shit hits the fan kind of scenario, where it's like a mass what happened in Las Vegas the other day, or a bombing or something like that. Knowing how to get out, knowing your exit points, and being able to make those exit points. But let's talk about something that's that's so rare, that doesn't happen that often. And so that's one of those things that's you need to know your exit points for something of that magnitude. But let's talk about just on the daily making yourself a hard target, and it's making yourself a less desirable target than anybody else around you. The best way to avoid getting eaten by a bear is to run faster than your friend. And but everybody's heard that, and it's in safety and making yourself a hard target, it's also the case. If you can make yourself look more, if you're a tourist in an area, because honestly, if we go to a place in Central America, I don't look like the people of Central America. So I have to take extra steps to make myself look less like a tourist. I'm 6'2". The people of Central America are typically on the shorter side of things, a little stockier than I am. I'm built like a palm tree. So I stand out, literally I stand out in a crowd of whenever we go to that area. So what do? I wear clothes that don't make me stand out. I wear clothes that are kind of darker colored. It doesn't say Smith Family Reunion 2016 or whatever the case, but that'd be kind of weird if I wore a shirt that said that. But anyway, that's that kind of idea. Make yourself look less like a tourist, because people who might mean you harm, they are looking for tourists who have money. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about tourism at the end of this, because we have a few more important parts that I don't want to chase right this very second.
Yeah. But basically on that one, as far as making yourself a hard target, is just blend in. Like Nate said, you may not always be able to physically blend in, because we all look different. And so when you already stand out from a country, if you go with the flow of what's going on around you, then you're not going to seem like you're a tourist. You may be an expat living in that country, and criminals who are looking to rob tourists aren't really looking to rob expats that live in that country. So make yourself a hard target, blend in.
So I kind of already talked about that one. So the next one, which is a really fun one that is overlooked 100% of the time on every single time we hear about safety. Another very, very good way to
live your life.
To live your life is to be nice to people. Yes. So being nice to people is a fantastic way to not only keep to live your life, but to keep yourself safe. If you're nice to somebody, let's say somebody is coming up and is going to scam you, never mind. If somebody was coming up to scam you and you're very nice to them, firm, not giving, not gullible, but nice to them, very polite. How are you doing? If you don't speak the same language, good body positioning as far as like being nice. And I really don't feel like I need to explain that, but the fact that I don't ever see this offered as a safety device, yeah, I guess I need to explain it. It's really silly that it's a thing, but literally be nice to people. And even if it's the person you're interacting with isn't the person who is what would you call that, the person who may mean to do you harm, if you're nice to somebody and then they may give you a little bit of an insight, like, hey, where are you staying tonight? Like, it's up to you if you want to divulge that information, but they may be able to give you some good information, be like, hey, avoid this place. It's kind of in a rough area, or that kind of thing. So be nice to people. You'll get good advice. You won't make anybody mad, and you won't make new enemies. So really, I think that's what that boils down to.
Yep, that's a pretty good one. This one actually kind of goes, I think we should have put this one in with making yourself a hard target, but don't look lost. The first step to that, and this is kind of more in a general travel sense, more so than just van life, don't look lost in an area. And the first step to avoid that is don't get lost. But sometimes that happens when you're traveling. You may end up somewhere where you have no idea where you are. But wandering around streets looking completely lost, having your map out, looking frustrated, or having your phone in your hand, obviously trying to find directions, figure out which direction you're facing, makes you an easy target for somebody, because they know that you're already focused on something else. You're not being situationally aware, and they know that you're not from around there. So you already look like a tourist. So, you can't avoid getting lost entirely, but if you do, a good way to handle that is just to look around look around you, assess your surroundings, and then pick a shop to go into. Maybe it's a bookstore or a coffee shop or a restaurant or something. Go into a shop where there's other people, order something, buy something, whatever it may be, sit down, then pull out your map, pull out your phone, where it's perfectly normal for people to be looking at those things, sitting down in a controlled environment where no one else is there lurking to watch you. And then get your bearings from there. Then that gives you the opportunity to get out of a stressful situation as it is, because you're not walking down the street with other people that are trying to walk down the street. And so you've already removed yourself from that stressful situation. Then you can take some time to get your bearings straight.
Yeah. Case study. Let's talk about that time in Rivas. Just 2 minutes worth of that. So we get off this bus, and we
were in Nicaragua.
We were in Nicaragua. We're in Rivas, which Rivas is a decently sized city. And that's, a little point 5A is cities are typically going to be, there's going to be more, you need to be more situationally aware in a big city than you do out in the countryside. That's the same in like Houston, Las Vegas, LA, San Diego, New York City, all those places. So the fact that this happened in Nicaragua, I don't want to scare people off of Nicaragua, because it's a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic country, but we just had this one particular bad situation. But being superiorly situationally aware, we're able to get out of it. So the story is, we get off this bus, just local transportation, and we are going to catch local transportation to the next little town over, to San Juan del Sur. And cab drivers are pretty bad, like everywhere. I've never been to any city where I was like really happy with how, with a cab, like catching a cab experience. And I think that's common. So if you've traveled, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, cab driver, he is immediately, I'm like already picking up bad vibes. I can already tell he's trying to screw us over on the fare to get to this place. He's telling us that the bus that's supposed to be there in 15 minutes has broken down and stuff, which that's a tactic that scam cabbie drivers use, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm already picking up like these multiple red flags and all that kind of stuff, and I just know that we need to get out of there. So we try to just, I think we just tried to like sit down at a table, and he sat down with us and just would not leave us alone. So Stephanie and it was me and Stephanie, and my mom was with us, and so we just started walking. We grabbed all of our bags and we started walking. Didn't know where we were. We had not planned on sightseeing in the area, so we just started walking. We saw a market area, and basically we just took off walking down the market. It was me, and then Mom was behind me, and then Stephanie was behind Mom, so Stephanie was kind of bringing up the rear, and we communicate very well in that, and just like that. So we started walking. Cab driver was still following us. We just walk around, and I'm like, basically at that point I'm acting like a local the best I can. I think we bought some plantains or something like that, stuck them in the bag, and like at that point we established ourselves as locals in the area, or expats, or as local as can be. And then I speak very little Spanish, but I was able to speak enough Spanish to ask where a bathroom was. So found a bathroom. They one of the local ladies pointed us towards a bathroom. Went to the bathroom. I think we all went in and used the bathroom. But by the time we were in that area, see, the locals also hate those cab drivers who are trying to do that. They are just as annoying to them as they are to us. And so by the time we got back out, I saw it happen. There were several of the local farmers. They'd kick the cab driver out of the area. They're like, "Get out of here! Like, you're annoying us. You're bugging everybody here. So just go away." So that's how we were able to get out of this situation. And then we had to find our way back to the thing. So since we were by the bathroom, no big deal. Posted up behind the farmers market area, pulled out the maps, checked out where we are, down the street, over a block, and we're back to the buses. So, case study.
The next little safety tip is don't leave valuable items in plain sight. You know, especially when you're in a van, you have all of your possessions with you. Don't leave them in plain sight when you're not in the van, or when you're in the van and sleeping, or whatever that may be. Keep things put away. Anybody who's watched our videos knows that we have a lot of gear in here. We have many dollars worth of gear in this van, but somebody just looking inside the van, if somebody were to walk up to the van and cup their hands to peek in, they wouldn't be able to see what was in here. They would obviously be able to see that it is a camper van, and you can make guesses that things are in here, but they wouldn't see our cameras. They wouldn't see our laptops sitting out. They wouldn't see any of our gear sitting out because it's all put away. So keeping all of your valuables out of plain sight is a really great line of defense, to keep those just opportunists from smashing a window, grabbing a few things, and getting out of there. Mm-hmm. Also with that, and that goes even beyond van life, of when you're traveling and you pull out your wallet, don't pull out your wallet and flash all of your money while you're paying for something. You know, it's a good idea to have a little bit of money in different pockets so that you never have to pull out all of your money at once. You never show your never show your cards. Mm-hmm. Anywhere you are. It doesn't matter if you're in LA or Nicaragua or Mexico or Houston. Doesn't matter. Don't pull out a handful of money and show it to people. Don't, basically any valuables should just be kept out of plain sight. That makes you a harder target. All of those things. Mm-hmm. So I think this is the last one.
Yeah, I think so. So the last thing is insurance. Have insurance on the stuff that really matters to you. So things can be replaced. My camera gear is insured. It can be replaced. I mean, it sucked to have all like my external hard drive and all that kind of stuff, but it can be replaced. Like everything can be replaced. Have insurance on it. That's what it's there for. And then, if honestly, insurance is in the same category as guns and dogs and security systems and putting a sized 18 boots and guns and ammo magazine outside of your door, or whatever other silly things that people on Facebook say. Insurance is on the same wavelength of all of those what would you call that, last line of defense. Yeah. But it is nice to know that if something were to happen, if this place were to burn to the ground, it's like all of our stuff would be insured. I mean, that's not really even a safety thing, but worst case scenario, if it got stolen, whatever the thing is, even if it's not a life safety issue, yeah, everything's replaceable.
Yep, exactly. And then something else we wanted to kind of touch on is, and this is kind of another rant, is by talking about all of this, by saying, giving all of these safety tips and making yourself a hard target, making yourself situationally aware, and getting yourself out of situations that you don't feel comfortable in. If you have a gut feeling about a place, just leave. Mm-hmm. Just make your exit and don't put yourself in that situation. What we don't mean is, we don't mean avoid traveling. Obviously, I mean, we travel all the time. And we don't mean generalizing an entire area, an entire state, an entire country off of one situation. Just like Nate said earlier, we had one kind of sketchy situation in Nicaragua, but that didn't ruin our trip. We were there for 3 weeks and we had just an enormous amount of amazing experiences. So you can't generalize an entire country or an entire area at all based off of one experience. Mm-hmm. And I would also go on to say that developing countries are not inherently unsafe. They're not, and that's generally what people think. Mm-hmm. And that's what we hear over and over and over, is that Mexico's not safe, Nicaragua's not safe, all of Central America is not safe. But that's just not true. There are unsafe aspects about those countries, absolutely, but there are unsafe aspects about the United States, about Canada. I mean, there are unsafe places everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So,
and educate yourself about these areas, and don't educate yourself by the news. Don't educate by the news. Educate honestly, like by little blogs like ours. I think honestly, like, we probably give a better, like us. Desta Dirtbag would be a good one for Central America. And there are a lot of other good bloggers that have actually been to these places and are trying to show the positive aspects. You flip on CNN or Fox News or your local news site, it's positive news doesn't get good ratings on TV. It's just how it is.
And first-hand experiences too. I mean, we're talking like journalists from CNN or Fox News or whatever news station you watch. Those are journalists that are being sent to cover a specific story, not first-hand experiences. Mm-hmm. in those countries. We've mm-hmm. had first-hand experiences in Mexico and in Nicaragua, and and in many, many different countries. But those are the two that we often get told that we were stupid for going to, mm-hmm. Because they were unsafe, but they weren't, because we have had those first-hand experiences, and first-hand experiences are hands down the best way to learn about a country, rather than a news site or or just general ideas about a country.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right?
I think so. That was our little rant on the...
So I knew we would have multiple rants on that thing, and I think it turned out better than I thought it was going to. I thought we were going to do this about 5 or 10 times. No, but anyway, hopefully that wasn't too real, but hopefully it brings up some good points. Yes, definitely want to hear what everybody has to say. But honestly, this whole thing boils down to avoid bad situations by having superior situational awareness. You can write that down, get it tattooed. If you get tattoos, send me pictures. That would be pretty rad if somebody tattooed that on themselves. But anyway, thanks for watching this one. That one's a pretty important one to us, and we want people to travel, but we want people to be able to travel safely and yeah, basically just have that knowledge to go experience things for themselves.
Yeah, and I want to open up the discussion too, because I'm sure there's some points that we missed in this conversation that are safety related. So if you guys have safety tips for others, let us know in the comments, because this is an open discussion, and we definitely want to educate people, and we need to be educated as well. We're not know-it-alls. We definitely know that we have made mistakes before. So it's important to talk about, and it's important for all of us to help each other be more educated and be more safe, so that we can avoid a situation where we need a last line of defense.
Yeah, and honestly, if you don't have any questions on this, like if you're just like, hey, that's some really good information, like in the comments, like tell a story. I would love to hear some stories of like times that you got into a situation where you did actually feel unsafe, and then you were able to remedy that situation. Like what aspect of it, what did you do to get out of that situation?
Yeah.
I think that would be super entertaining to see.
Awesome.
So if you've stuck around this long, please let us know in the comments below. Is that it? Can we close it out?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you're going to be seeing some icons on your screen right about now. One of them is going to be a subscribe bubble, so be sure to subscribe for all of our adventures, talks like this, as well as other van life stuff. You're also going to see a link to our blog, which you can read about basically everything on here that you'll see on our YouTube channel and more, as well as our van life playlist, so you can binge watch all of our stuff. So until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.